on every level.
Yeah.
When most were expecting a blowout, kept it pretty close. I got to give props to the players on the field.
I feel like today's show is going to be a series of but. You know what I mean? It's going to be like the offense played well in the first half, but the defense did some things positively, but special teams, touchdowns, but there's going to be a series of buts today. I thought the game from itself, from a competitive standpoint, like you said, I don't think people truly expected them to be in the game like they were today. They got after the quarterback. They eliminated a run, but when you need to make a play, you need to make a stop, you need to corral the quarterback and get after him, you didn't. All right? And then offensively, you did some things positively. You ran the ball so much better than you have, but you get to the 1 yard line with a couple downs and you can't score. And then your defense gives up a 99-yard, almost a 10-minute drive consequently. So it's like, it's just, as you were talking about it off air, you're not to the point where you're good enough to overcome the almost. You have to get those almosts and convert them and make those plays. And I think, like, the positive take on this, the silver lining on this, man, is you can see that they got better.
Yeah.
More competitive. And this is without two of your better players, especially on defense. And I think that's something to hold your head. And I think they're going to have a Pro Bowler or two. I don't know if Big Jeff now been missing a few games. If he still gets in, he should. But DK is probably going to be a Pro Bowler.
He may even be an All-Pro. To be honest, he may be an All-Pro, especially now that he has a touchdown on his resume. He already has the all-purpose yards leader. And I think, I don't know who's even second at this point. And I wouldn't rule out Cedric Gray Pro Bowl.
I might not. It's hard to linebackers in this league.
That's true.
You think about Keith Bullock was a perennial lead tackler on his team, captain, but he was also in an era of the linebacker, especially in the AFC with Ray and everybody else that was here. So he kind of was the forgotten linebacker, didn't go to nearly as many Pro Bowlers as he should have. He was one of the most underrated linebackers of his era just because he's in a linebacker era. And I think you have to pretty much do something special to overtake some of the guys ahead of you that's been doing it for a while.
If this was a Friends episode, it'd be called The One with the Butts.
Yeah, you're right. I do still think that this team showed progress. I would echo the positive sentiment. I think there is a massive but in this game. But for the most part, I felt like they were competitive against a good opponent in a game that they had a chance to win. And we've seen this team before undergo these catastrophic collapses in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, second half, the middle eight. We've talked about quite a bit that they've lost these matchups and things have just exponentially spiraled. That wasn't the case today. I mean, I really felt like this team fought hard, and with the exception of that one series, like Dr. Dyson mentioned, where you get down to the opponent's 1 yard line and you can't punch it in, and then you give up a 99-yard drive for them to score. That is a 14-point swing. 7 points away from you, 7 points to the opponent. So if they're able to punch that in and score those 7 points, well, then maybe this is a different ball game we're talking about, and we're talking about kind of a signature win for this team. But it didn't happen that way. And I do still think that there are concerns about the offense. I don't think they were helped out by their offensive coordinator today. And I'm sure we'll get into the play calling a little bit, but 20 points looks nice, but you have to keep it in context. There's only 6 points by your offense. You had a defensive touchdown. You had a special teams touchdown today. So while I think overall they showed a little bit of progress, they got better, I still think there's some stark reminders of how far this offense has to go.
Yeah, the Ario in the chat says Pollard is a dumpster fire. Well, Pollard had 3 explosive runs.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wildcats failing were not a Pollard issue. No. They were a timing issue and an execution issue by the offensive line. They weren't a Pollard issue. No. I don't know how you walk away, especially with how he's played all year, saying Pollard is a dumpster fire. That's just totally incorrect.
Yeah. There was 2 of the runs in particular where he should have been tackled for a loss.
Yeah.
And he made a guy miss or broke a leg tackle and extended the run. Like, it wasn't necessarily him on those plays. And I think, like you said, timing of the play call, timing with the line up front. There was very little push. Hard to blame.
I mean, you heard Ross Tucker several times talk about the offensive line not getting any push on those stuffs. I mean, like, what's he to do? Like, teleport through? He can't phase.
Right.
Like, he can't phase through him. He's not Shadow Cat from X-Men. Like, like, he ain't Kitty Pryden it out there.
No mutants here.
Yeah, no mutants here. And except for Scott Matlock.
Except for Scott Matlock can play some ball.
And so, like, I look at this, and I think this brings up a good question because it's something that you actually asked me, but Mitch Odell in the chat actually brings it up. He says, I feel like this was the best they played all year.
I kind of do, too. I kind of do, too, because they were playing complementary football early on.
Yeah.
And the offense just couldn't punch it through, but there were moments of promise there. And I also think it's still a testament to how bad this offense has been prior to this, that this was their best game. But it did really feel like they were getting some things going. And then just in critical moments, I didn't like all of the play calls. They weren't executed. They had some penalties. Some things went wrong to take them out of that.
Speaking of penalties, 7 penalties, right? This is the highest of the Mike McCoy era after they've been going down.
Yeah.
But they all happened in the first half. They had no penalties in the second half.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So 7 penalties all in the first half because I actually took down how many they had in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is wild to think. And I'm just like, okay, so they kind of played a pretty clean second half. If you want to go to Cam Ward particularly, he was 4 for 11 with 53 yards. He had 2 drops. Well, he had 1 drop and a well-guarded play by Cam Hart where Van Jefferson probably should have came to it. And Elikai Manor didn't have a sense of urgency on one of the routes in the first half. The rest of them are on Cam Ward. You get into the second half when they're not playing garbage time this year, because that was the big thing about Cam Ward's second half stats or fourth quarter stats. He was 8 for 10, 9.2 yards per attempt, and 105 passer rating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, but they, at critical moments, 2 of the Wildcat plays that were on 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2 happened in the second half.
Yeah.
And you can't have those critical plays moments. And I feel like they get too cute when they haven't mastered the basics yet. Like, you got to master the basics before we start throwing in all these plays. Well, and this was the most loaded with trick plays.
Yeah, I'll be devil's advocate to that statement. The only reason, because sometimes when you don't have anything, you do try to find ways to create.
That's true.
Positivity, right? You try to create plays because you might be outmatched. You don't have that sense of I can bully you. So you try to find ways to do it. And so that could be it too. I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. But I think when I'm thinking about those play calling, it's one of those things I don't have confidence in my line right here. I'm going to find a way to maneuver and manufacture a way to get this yard, and it still didn't work. So it's like dang if you do, dang if you don't. Like you get cute and it didn't work, but if I don't get cute and it doesn't work, then what? So I understand. I agree with you, but I also understand from a coaching perspective of, we hadn't really been able to bully them, so let's try to be cute with here. I say cute, I don't mean cute, but it's a gimmick, if you will, and try to see if we can get the money. But it's different running that with a 210, 208-pound running back and a 240-pound running back, too. So,
I mean, no fullbacks on this team. No, you mentioned that earlier off air. Mitch Odell, who's apparently been listening to our conversations off air, he also mentions that this team could desperately use a fullback because I've seen a lot of people say, well, they should have done the tush push. Well, guys, Cam Ward's not Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert. He's a smaller guy, and I think it was too far for a tush push. Now, could you have ran it twice? Maybe, but who's pushing that tush?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Is it Corey Levin pushing that tush?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, Zach. The tush push is not necessarily the quarterback. It's the guys up front. It's about that push that they get.
Yeah.
And then the tush push of it is the guys behind you.
Yeah.
And how they are able to get that momentum and push the stagnant offensive line, defensive line forward. And that's what it is. So it's not necessarily about the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's about the physicality of the guys that are making it go into that direction.
And I don't know who that would be on this team. I mean, that's the thing that I have a problem with is, like, to me, when you're talking about, I did the math. So before the first Wildcat, they were averaging 7.6 yards per carry on 5 carries.
Dang.
So you 3rd and 1, and that's a 3rd and 1, you don't run it. And I think that's just insane to me because you ended up getting a penalty on that Wildcat formation because it was just so poorly designed. It felt like it was just looked like utter chaos on that first one. But you had 7.6 yards per carry heading into it. In the second half, that team, 10 carries, 44 yards, 4.4 yards per carry when you take out the no gains on the tush push. And again, or not tush pushes, on the Wildcat formation. So for me, it's like, give the ball to your running back. Seems pretty simple, especially when you're probably going to have to go for it twice.
Yeah. And I don't know what this team's issue is with putting a lead blocker out there because we are seeing the trend around the NFL. Fullbacks are coming back. Multiple tight end sets are coming back. They won't put a lead blocker out there. They put an extra offensive lineman on the field, and then they have him running routes out there. They're running the mesh concept with Corey Levin. I don't know why they can't line up Corey Levin as the fullback. I think they tried it with Blake Hance before he was hurt. I mean, there's just it feels like there's ways to get creative without putting the ball in harm's way.
Without going away from your offense.
Well, they have in the past. Remember, they put Big Jeff back there as a fullback.
Yeah.
He's athletic, really skilled. And I think that's what the NFL teams are doing, is using guys that have had experience maybe in high school, maybe in college, and use them in multiple dimensions because you only have so many roster spots, right? And you've seen the reduction. It used to be you'd have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Now you're down to 2 and a practice squad guy. You know, it's just maneuvering that roster. And so the investment is, because we are in a passing league, the investment is in the guys that can catch the ball and the quarterback. The running back is not obsolete. It's just been different. People are doing it by committee now. You don't see just a primary ball carrier, 1 through 2 downs, 3rd down, another guy. It's kind of by committee, rotating guys. And so it's almost eliminated the fullback. And I even go back. If you ever go to high school football games around here and watch college games, most college games are spread. The only compact teams really is like Big Ten football and like the academies. Most everybody else is spread out and 3 wide receivers, 1 back, single back, quarterback, gun, even on the 1 yard line there in the gun, which is crazy to me. And so we're seeing this trend trickle on its way up to the NFL and the game and how the rules are assessed. You can't put your hands on guys. You can't hit them. So it's like we're going to throw the ball all over the place. And the quarterbacks make so much money, you put the ball into their hands. But to y'all's point, you can use different guys. Maybe they don't have somebody like a Big Jeff. If you have Big Jeff back there on that tush push, I think you're probably going to get that yard, right?
Maybe put Sweat back there.
Yeah, or something.
Today.
Something
or James
like
Lynch, he's the fastest defender.
It
feels like he was catching people from behind and everything. But to your point, I mean, you can do stuff within, like, even if you need to go jumbo and put Tony Pollard back there, or Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears back there, and Corey Levin, and Tavondre Sweat, and do something creative to get that final yard. That's what you need to do. It just feels like today they did it 3 times and it failed. Like, after the second one, I can get going back to the well one time, but after the second one failed, I think it's done.
Man, I've coached high school football out here, and so I haven't coached pro, but I played it, but I haven't coached it. And sometimes, man, pride can get you even as a coach in a sense where this should work. You just have to execute.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if they execute, if they get the push, then we're not even having this conversation. But to your point, it didn't. So what's the counter to your own flaw, if you will, to what you thought might work? And I know sometimes, and I've been here, even on that lower level, and I don't mean high school football is a lower level, but it is compared to pro. I know there's been games I beat myself up like, man, I should have went for this here. I should have done that there. And I know his wheels are spinning right now when you're going through, because 3 times, it's almost like you just going to work. This square peg's going in that little round hole right now. I'm getting this yard this way, as opposed to, as you said, look at, you've been getting 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a pop up until a certain point. Just do what you do.
Yeah.
Just do what you do.
I'm surprised Cam Ward didn't check out of it, to be honest with you. Listen, coming up next, we'll get to your phones. We got Jimmy Lynn, Samuel, Mike, 615-737-1045. This is the Lee Company Titans Talk back here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talk Back. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And Fusion Site is the Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom, trailer, and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. I'm going to have to put out a missing persons alert here because Eric has yet to call in.
I know.
He's not the first guy that we're going to on the phones, and I'm a little concerned.
I am too.
I'm
Where's
a little
Eric?
concerned. Maybe he's given up on the team, and I don't think that bodes well for the Tennessee Titans if Eric is not calling in. So
I can't break Eric yet, man.
Yeah, can't break Eric. All right, let's go to Jimmy Lynn, though. Jimmy Lynn, you're on with Titans Talk Back.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call. You've really probably already addressed what I'm going to talk about, but I, too, was pleased with how much better they seem to do this week, because it's been pretty dismal season until today. I thought they showed some glimmers of hope and light there. But what I don't understand is, as you've talked about, why we didn't try the push. And, again, you said it didn't have to be Cam Ward, but why don't we have somebody we can push over the line when we're a half a yard from the goal line? It makes no sense to me. But what do I know? I don't play football. So I'll shut up now and hang up, and thank you very much for your brilliance and your fun that you provide to us.
Hey, well, we appreciate the compliment. And, that is something that we haven't talked about is, like, does it have to be Cam Ward to get the tush push?
I got something.
Uh-oh.
All right, because we saw the way we saw J.C. Latham handle that errant pass in this game. Direct snap to J.C. Latham, Corey Levin, fullback, right up the middle.
There you go.
There you go.
I like it. Well, I'll say this. I like the idea, but the quarterback center exchange is the only thing that worries me.
Yeah.
But you could do it out of gun, which we have seen the whole shotgun wildcat thing anyway. But Pollard comes to mind in this sense, as a guy who's an athlete who has played other positions and made himself into a running back.
Yeah.
And so you would think he had the athleticism to learn how to take a snap properly and all that kind of stuff. But again, we can hash this out all day long, the what ifs on it. At the end of the day, I got 1 yard, 3 feet to score, 2 downs to do it. We should be able to get that in the National Football League.
Yeah. And that's why I think you just got to go with your standard running game because it was working anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were gashing them, which was I was very surprised by because it's one of the best run defenses in the NFL in terms of yards allowed, yards per attempt, and touchdowns. But I did see that it was ranked in the mid-20s in efficiency. So they were allowing yards and points and success rates at a pretty bad clip, good for the offense, bad for that defense. And so there was opportunity to exploit it just because they shut you down, in the red zone season long, the Los Angeles Chargers defense. Doesn't mean that it won't work during the game. So that's where I go back to. You see it it's kind of like that feel that we were talking with Brian Callen. Everybody sees in the stadium that you are getting yards on the ground.
Yeah.
In a traditional run game sense, and you went away from it in 3 critical moments and kind of screwed yourself.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think, Dr. Dyson, did it telegraph what they wanted to do just lining up in the Wildcat formation? Because they haven't shown some great trickeration out of the formation. It's been now direct snap to the running back, they're going to run the ball. Mm-hmm. Do you think if you're the defense, are you tipping your own hand in a way just by formation alone?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. If I go back, if you remember when they did it with the King, the counter off of that was he did a jump pass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's counters off of this. This was a setup for something else. It just didn't work out for the initial thing, right? There's a counter to it. The other part of that is when you get inside the 5 or even inside the 2 or 3 yard line, your playbook condenses a whole lot. So there's different ways to get to the same play, meaning you can still do wildcat and do a spread formation and create some running lanes and create like a quarterback lead and have the quote-unquote extra running back lead block to you. There's different ways to get about it, but I will say that the playbook does squeeze down a little bit and you reduce your playbook from, say, 25 potential running plays to really about 5 when you get down in there, right? Because they're in there. you're going to get 7, 8 man box, if not 9.
Yeah.
Probably some sort of man coverage or something to that point where it's pretty much man on man.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do I get my advantage? Well, they decided to go into the Wildcat on the 1, but the problem with that is unless you're counting Cam Ward as another player, you don't. When you spread out a quarterback down inside the 1, especially, and now outside on the field, that's a little different, but inside the 1, you spread your quarterback out, he's eliminated. I don't even have to cover him. Now, if you're going to take that chance and throw it to him, by all means, but you run the risk of me putting him on IR, so to speak. Like, I'm going to take that shot. I'm going to take a shot on your quarterback, right? So, but that's the risk you run. So most coordinators know now you're playing 10 on 11 for the most part, especially down there. You're playing 10 on 11 unless he's under center. Like you talk about Allen, Holmes, Hurts, all of them, unless you're under center and he's in the game. But you spread him out, especially down there, he's not in the game. Now, how many times have you seen somebody call off, throw him a pass, and they go run in the NFL? Name one. Not even with Lamar Jackson.
I mean, really just that Nick Foles, that's about it.
That's it. But that was a creative way.
Yeah.
That was a trick play, double pass. I'm talking about fullback to and just give it to him right then and there, let him work. You don't see it because you can't. There's too much invested in that guy.
And it's probably
position.
A pick six going the other way, right? When you have Tony Pollard throwing over there to
if it's completed, it might be an injury.
Yeah.
You got a safety coming down on the quarterback.
I feel like there was one play early on with like Ronnie Brown when the Wildcat first hit the scene there. He like threw it out to Chad Pennington and they made something happen with it. But it was like one of those cases where nobody had seen it before, so nobody knew what was happening. They got the benefit of the doubt. You don't see it too often.
Yeah,
I guess last week Detroit did it where they threw to Jared Goff. I don't know what the play setup was, so I don't know. But someone's in the chat saying that.
Yeah, I love to see the setup in the play.
Yeah.
But again, those are kind of counters because most often he's eliminated. He's not a part of the progression. He's just out there just because he's body. And they know that, and you got to respect it, obviously, because he is a body, especially they are athletes too. Cam's a good athlete, so you got to respect it. But at the same time, most often, I would say 9.9 out of 10, you're not going to put your quarterback in harm's way intentionally like that. And if, like you said, Pollard throws up, he goes a little high, and he's got his ribs exposed, there's a whole lot of things can go wrong with that. So inside the 1, you're really playing 10 on 11 at that point, and you're just trying to get as much push as you can, and that's when we're giving the pass, not a pass, we're talking about the coordinating of it all, but the offensive line at the end of the day, it's on them too.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been part of the issue as well, is that I just don't feel like these guys are generating a whole lot of push in these short yardage situations.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Samuel. Samuel, you're on with Titans Talk Back. Hello, Samuel. Oh, bummer. Uh-oh. Bummer from Samuel. We'll call back later when you want to talk. Let's go to Mike in Old Hickory. Mike, you're on with Titans Talk Back.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing good. How are you?
1-8. And so this is a business. And so what we saw today, yes, they did improve, okay? But we started the season starting from our own 2-yard line and our own red zone. So if we got up to the 4-yard line, 5-yard line, or 6-yard line today in our own red zone, if you call that progress, then I'm very worried. So I'm watching other teams like New Orleans, Jets, and Miami for the number 1 pick next year. We have an advantage that I hope we get the number 1 pick. So we can trade that next year into 3 or 4 second, third, fourth round picks so that we can actually build a team around Cam Ward. Because I still believe in Cam Ward. I really do. He's just been surrounded by a bad team, bad coaches, bad management for the last year, 2 years. And so what I'm saying is that let's not give up the number 1 pick next year. Let's not go out there and risk our good players because the season's over. It's a business. And so let's make sure that we get the number one pick and trade into multiple picks to support this quarterback. And therefore, we might have a chance. Otherwise, if we don't do that, you're looking at decades of oblivion. Decades.
Yeah, I mean, I think you raised some good points. I don't think this team has to tank. I just think it's bad.
I was about to say.
I mean, like, it's just like last year. I said the same thing last year. This team is not trying to tank. They're just not a good team.
Yeah.
Look at the defense. The defense played out of their mind today, and they still allowed. Listen, it took Justin Herbert, some elite throws.
Yeah.
But then there were throws where the guy was just wide open. This is just not a good defense. I don't think we have to worry about them winning a bunch of games. And listen, if they end up winning a bunch of games, I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Just because these young guys that will be here need to learn how to win.
And it gives you a sense of hope going forward into the offseason that your trajectory is going upward, as opposed to going to this past offseason, getting a number one pick. Everybody assuming is one of the two quarterbacks, Sanders or Ward, but whatever. And you still had the uncertainty. You still waited on what are we doing this offseason? Because nobody knows what the draft's going to end up turning out to be. It ended up being a good draft. You want to see the free agents you bring in. You wanted to see what GM came in, whatever it was in this offseason. But there still wasn't that sense of heading in the right direction. And the verbiage coming out of the organization was this was a rebuild year. Now, to your point, if you win a bunch of games this year at the end of here forward, say you win 3 games.
I was about to say a bunch. I'll settle for 2 more.
2 more. If you win 2 or 3 more games, especially in the latter part of the season, that gives you a sense of this. We are heading in the right direction. You feel like the rookies are doing things well on both sides of the ball. Some of the younger talent, they're trading away people that you've counted on. There's some injuries to some captains, but if you see that trending in a different direction, I feel like your offseason optimism is a little bit different than it was even a year before.
I would even say the way this is headed this year is worse than it felt. Like if they don't string together some wins by the end of this season, I think they're going to feel worse than the end of last season, because not only is it not headed in the right direction, it's headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And that's not
Without
good.
a head coach.
If
presumably.
I would say that after the last 2 weeks, I think it's safe to say Mike McCoy probably, unless they go on like a huge win streak, probably not getting that interim job, or not getting the interim title taken off his
hey, you get a well-placed bye. The road to 9-8 starts today.
now.
Who knows? But I do feel like it's important for this young nucleus that we've talked about a lot on this show to start learning how to win. I think that's a good foundation to build on going into the offseason, whereas I don't know what's going to happen if they go into another offseason that's doom and gloom. So
I mean, it all starts with the head coaching hire, and we have many Titans Talkback episodes to talk about that. I mean, but it does start with that, because it is such a pivotal moment for this franchise.
Yeah, sure.
But until then, they do need to learn how to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing no matter what happens, even if it is just 2 games and maybe they just pick third.
Yeah.
Okay? You may still be able to trade out 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
Because for whatever reason, you may still be able to do that. It's not impossible to trade out 3rd overall pick. But also, if you don't trade out 3rd overall pick, shucks, you just get a blue chip player.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just going to do the hypotheticals, and you can do a survey on this. I don't know. But say they go 4-4 the second half of the season, and they move themselves from top 3 to that middle 10th, like 6, 7, 8. Would people be okay with that? Would they rather be in that top 3?
I mean, I don't think there's that big of a difference from pick number 3 to pick number 6, 7, or 8.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
In terms of the player you get.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that big of a difference. And you get the added bonus of, hey, these guys got to rattle off a couple of wins.
Yeah.
And these guys got to look competitive. Because I know that people want to say this team looked like crap today. Again, think about the players on the field. They were thoroughly outmatched, and I don't think there was one person on 104.5 that picked them to score at least 20 points. And they scored at least 20. Now, no, it wasn't the offense, but the offense drove them down for the 2 field goals. But I think we can say, and I think we can say that coaching probably is a little bit more to blame than the players today. But they should have, the defense played out of its mind. I don't know if we'll ever see a defense performance as good as that the rest of the year. And I know that included chunk plays. Like, don't get me wrong, but this is the most competitive game they've really played in a long time.
Yeah, I would agree.
How many positions today were not the anticipated starter or the intentional starter in a key spot?
Well, you got pretty much the entire defensive line besides Tavondre Sweat and Sebastian Joseph Day. Okay. They were rotating guys in and out.
The DBs,
all the edge guys.
All DBs but one.
Yeah. All DBs except for Amani Hooker. All the edge guys were all guys they weren't presuming to be starters.
Yeah. One receiver.
But
the other guys stepped up.
Right.
We call it 1.5 because the 3 receivers. Lockett was not here anymore, so 1.5. Offensive line.
Pretty much all the same. Yeah.
They're just getting back.
Yeah.
But they hadn't been. So about 6-7 guys.
Yeah.
And they really was in a game. I mean, again, this is
players got to execute the plays that are called.
Exactly.
But I would say that the plays that were called were not really well thought out to use them at that point.
It sure seems that way from the broadcast copy anyway.
Yeah.
I would say, here's the thing about the state of this roster, Zach, and we talk about this team going 4-4 down the stretch, sliding from a top 3 pick to maybe a top 8 or 9. You have so many needs on this roster, and not just like, oh, we got to fill holes, but like, you need starters. You need dudes.
You need starters, but you also need solid depth pieces, which you don't have either. Like, I mean, your solid depth pieces are not good enough to be starters, which they are starters now.
So if the best 2 edge rushers go in the top 8, you might still be able to get the best cornerback in the entire draft at that spot. Or you might be able to get the best wide receiver in the draft at that spot. You have so many needs that it's kind of hard to mess that spot up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be real interested in the movement in this offseason, free agent-wise.
Well, it's the movement also in the next few days, too, because now Calvin Ridley's being heavily rumored.
I heard his name in there, too.
Ian Rappaport has mentioned it in his last 2 big reports. You got Pro Football Talk did it almost like as soon as pretty much the fourth quarter was over. He had that report out. They're looking to trade Calvin Ridley. You have Tavondre Sweat, Tony Pollard, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Jihad Ward, all mentioned. You still have Chigakonkwo floating out there. And now that this is another loss, you can expect maybe people to get more aggressive in their calls when they call for Jeffrey Simmons. I'm not saying that there's a good chance Jeffrey Simmons could get traded, aggressive. But now it's time to get more aggressive because deadline's approaching, game's over. You have another loss as the Tennessee Titans. What are you willing to take? The calls will be coming in. I do give it a 50-50 shot of it happening, and it's going to send some people into a tizzy if they don't get what they think that he is worth. And a lot of people think he's worth multiple firsts. I wouldn't go that far, but
I don't know if I watch no more you do that, man.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, beginning of this year, and I was like, okay, who they have value with? And it was Calvin Ridley on offense. He had value. And I was like, you can't do that. You got these young receivers, blah, blah. And I'm not saying go ahead and trade Calvin Ridley because I like the guy. I love how explosive he is. I love how he runs routes. I like his character, and he's worked himself. He's one of those worker-type guys. I love him. However, if you're talking about adding value to be able to get draft capital or whatever it may be, he does have value, and you're not necessarily, there hasn't been a big drop-off since he's been gone. These young guys have stepped up, and you know who's stepped up is Jefferson. So he can help you with the young guys in that sense, and they're playing like older guys right now. And again, on a team that's not headed towards the playoffs, I think I'm okay with that. So if there is value in him anymore coming off the injury, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one moved.
Yeah, and Van Jefferson's name has even popped up in a couple of the rumor mill articles, the scuttlebutt that some people are hearing. I mean,
potential playoff teams.
Yeah, I really think, and despite I know like he doesn't have the best reputation among Titans fans because he dropped that one pass in the preseason 2 months ago, but this is still a professional wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Like he's been around the block. He can add to your passing game. So I look at this roster up and down, and I think if your name's Cam Ward, you're probably safe and secure. Everybody else, I don't know. I mean, that just kind of feels like the state of where things are at right now with the Titans franchise is that anybody's fair game because this thing's shifting towards building towards the future.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is like Alt going out today with the high ankle sprain, and they lost both tackles today. And they gave up 6 sacks to a team that really hadn't had multiple sack days like this, like they had, like an advance. And yet, when they needed to make a play, they found a way to make a play. And that's, in essence, the difference between the good professional teams and the teams that are still trying to find it in the NFL professionally is the good ones find ways to make plays, whether they plug in backups and the backups back up in some regard, they find ways to still make plays and they get it done. When you go 99 yards in a clip, I need to go look. I was trying to find it a minute ago, but almost 10 minutes, I believe, off of the clock with 2 backup tackles. And it wasn't like the Titans defense was playing slack. They had been getting after him.
Yep.
But they made plays when they counted, and that, I want to say, sealed the deal, but it essentially almost did. It did. It made it a 2-score game, made it harder for the Titans, and they had confidence in their defense that they weren't going to allow points from the Titans offense. But that is a team that is in a different era or aura than a team that's still trying to search and figure some things out.
There's a topic built off that I want to talk about, but we also want to go to the phone. So coming up next, we'll go straight to the phone. Samuel, Adam, JC, Dylan. This is Titans Talkback, Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Let's go to Samuel. Samuel, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hello, everybody's doing. Just got a quick question, though. Do y'all feel like the Titans going to win any games this season or not? And my second question is, that play on 4th and 1 where the Chargers defense stopped Tony Pollard, though, do you think that was a breaking point for the Titans in that game right there? Hope everybody has a good day, and thanks for listening to me.
Thanks, Samuel. I'd be hard-pressed to pick them in any game this year. Now, if they put together coming out of the bye a performance kind of like what we saw today, but with offensive output, then I may change my mind. But today's team, I don't know if that's the real Tennessee Titans we're going to see every week. And on that 4th and 1 play, it seemed like the offensive linemen were expecting Tony Pollard to leap over them, and he was running between the tackles or between the guards and the interior. So I don't know. It just seemed like nobody was on the same page in that play.
I'd be curious to see how Vegas sees the Titans the next 8-9 weeks, I guess, of the season. Because I say this because today I think they were like a 9.5.
Yeah.
And they obviously covered. And I think they're going to be somewhere in that range for the most part, the rest of these teams. Now, Houston wants Jags. Those divisional games, I think the number will be closer. And considering they're divisional games and one of them at home, I think you'll be okay. I think you might see them sneak that one, and they might be a favorite on that one.
Could be. We never know.
That's going to be my guess.
Their remaining schedule: Texans, Seahawks, Jaguars, Browns, 49ers, Chiefs, Saints, Jaguars. I think.
Is it Texans coming out of the bye?
Yeah, and it's a homestand. I mean, they come out of the bye and then they have 3 straight home games, but those are against the Texans, Seahawks, and Jaguars. And
so potential.
Yeah, it's you never know. I mean, a week off. Then you go to Cleveland, and I know the Browns' record is not that great, but that defense is playing really good football right now.
It's hard to win in Cleveland. It's so cold.
Well, we know how Myles Garrett versus Dan Moore is going to shake out because Myles Garrett owns Dan Moore.
Yeah.
There has not been a game he has not owned Dan Moore, so we know how that game's going to shake out.
Then you go to San Francisco, cross-country trip. You host Kansas City, which they're Kansas City. And then you host the Saints on December 28th.
That might be for the first pick.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that might be, like, your best chance is that you've got 2 teams that are talking about the first overall pick, and maybe you catch a break and somebody's checked out and you can take advantage of that. And then maybe the Jags are in the hunt for the playoffs, so you go to Jacksonville to end the season. Maybe they've clinched a spot and they're resting some starters, and you get a win like that. I'm looking at those two at the end of the season as the best chance for them to get one.
Saints and Jags.
Yeah, and I think there's a possibility, depending on how things go, they could be favored in one, maybe even both of those, depending on where we go.
Injuries aside, especially at a key position like a quarterback coming in, I hear you on that too. But I think there's something to say about playing at home, even though the advantage of the crowd hasn't been. Let me be careful how I say that because people said I was blaming the crowd last time. It's not as evident because it's becoming like today. A lot of Charger fans were in attendance. But I like what you're saying. If that's the case, you got 2 games, and you're liable to stumble on another one. And so,
here's the thing. That Seattle game, Seattle's playing good ball here right now, but they're coming to Nashville. This is a non-conference game. What are the odds that they're thinking, it's the lowly Titans? We're just going to go to Nashville.
Well, they got a number 1 in the NFC kind of going up around, right?
I know. They're playing good ball, but I'm just saying you see that happen in the NFL sometimes where these teams come in
and lay an egg on the wrong kind of team.
You guys are silly. Who needs the bye week more, the players or us?
I do.
All right, let's go to the phones. Go to Adam in Portland. Adam, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, Zach, man. So I actually think the Titans will beat the Jaguars and the Jaguars come here.
I can see that. I can see that.
I can see that as well.
That's the game. So, but dude, I'm curious to ask you this, Dice. I do have another point, but have you ever been on a roster so depleted, in your life? Can you ever remember, but we don't have anything except for like a quarterback.
No,
Nothing.
I haven't, and
like
I've
that.
never seen nothing where they made moves like this either, like almost depleting even more. I haven't been a part of that.
Yeah. Weirdo behavior all around. So, and I heard Zach say something earlier talking about the coaching staff. I totally agree. I think it's weird what Mike McCoy's doing because I see Cody Barton make a play. I'm like, okay, the defense is still playing well. I see us get the kick return. I'm like, everybody's still playing hard. That's good signs. And then I see you is settling for field goal attempts. And I see, just like, I don't know, Mike McCoy is like, it's your one opportunity to audition before everybody forgets about you. And you're laying up, man. What is like? It's the weirdest thing. We're 1-8, and it feels like the saddest Titans team I've ever had. I've never given up on the Titans in September, and like we had to give up in September this year. It's just super weird, dude. I don't know how you guys have to cover this for the next 10 weeks or whatever. I feel it's just kind of sickening, man, because I love them. Y'all know I love them. I call all the time.
Yep.
I hate that we're right here. Like, we're the Browns, man. Like, we're the Bengals. We're so, when Dice was playing with the team, the Bengals with Akili Smith, and the Browns, you'd score 30, and the Browns wouldn't score 3. That's us. Yeah. We're those teams now, and that's just incredible that we got there.
Great analogy.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'll say this, like this depletion of the roster, it's like you're already starving, and instead of giving that $1 a day to help a kid that's starving, you're putting it in the lotto machine.
Yeah. The decisions.
Give me a scratch-off ticket.
So, being in a head coach seat, especially when you're in an interim role and you're trying to audition, if you will, and you got all the decisions made. You think about clock management, field management. You think about young team. Think about the injuries on defense. And the analogy that comes ahead is that golfer on the par 5 is about 224 yards out. There's a stream of water right before the green, and you decide, and you're scoring well. You got a chance to have your best number ever, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to lay up, get up and down, just get a par. And you still bogey anyway.
Yep.
And that's kind of how it's working out. It's just like you might as well just go ahead and go for it. And I think, but it's hard not to play the numbers and the percentages and things of that nature when at the end of the day it ends up with the same result anyway. So why not take a chance?
I just want to say, I know the buck stops with the head coach, and Mike McCoy is this team's head coach right now. I just want to give some of the blame to Bo Hardigree here because he is this team's play caller, and I do think that was an issue today. And so I don't know exactly what the dynamic is like between head coach and or he's not even the offensive coordinator, he's the quarterback coach, play caller. I don't know what that dynamic is like, but I think as long as he's calling the plays, I think he deserves to shoulder some of the blame for this as well.
I got a simple question for y'all.
Yeah.
Simply put, do they look better now under Mike than they did a few weeks ago under Callahan?
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I would agree.
But that feels very easy to do.
I get you, but the point was where we, you know what I'm saying? So there has been a change in leadership. It's just not the fast results that we were hoping for, but there has been at least some kind of change.
Because you kind of said last week you were hopeless. You carried that over to Football and Other Efforts on Thursday, said you were hopeless, and I tried to talk you out of it, but I didn't do a very good job. But to what Kevin Dyson's pointing out right now, Mike McCoy was a coaching change. Team got better.
Yeah.
By the standards of what they were to begin with.
Like Mike and Old Hickory said, they went from the 2-yard line to the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
So a better coach later on down the road, or a good coaching hire can make this team to the next level with a year of experience under Cam Ward's belt, who has seen pretty much anything and everything you can experience in the NFL, it feels like right now, except for a win with a multi-touchdown pass game. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm trying to give you a little bit of hope. You're going to bring it down. I can feel it. But I'm just saying, if they get it right, and that's a big if, because Mike Bergonzi has never hired a head coach in his life. Chad Brinker hired Brian Callahan in his first shot. So, we don't know if Burke Nihill and Amy Abstrunk are going to sit out this time. We don't know what the dynamic is. So that's a big if that they get this right. Yeah. But it seems like there are a couple choices with connections to Chad Brinker and Mike Bergonzi that seems like if you went either way, this team should be better next year.
How many soul-crushing losses are we going to have to watch until we get to that point?
All of them.
Because that's what makes me feel hopeless is like, oh, man, we got to talk about this team twice a week, well, you and me twice a week for the next, 2 years? And who's to say that the new coach is going to get the patience and the grace to really ride out a rebuild?
I will say this. Jacksonville is losing to Las Vegas right now, 3-6, with 12 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And their number one overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, has thrown 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Cam Ward's a rookie, so I'm willing to give him a little bit more grace. Trevor Lawrence over here, I
got questions.
That's a lot of questions over there, right?
I got questions about Trevor Lawrence.
There's talks about Brian Thomas getting traded. Travis Hunter goes down with a knee injury that happened in practice. Things are bad now, but I have more faith in Cam Ward turning into the prospect we thought he would be as a pro than I ever did with Trevor Lawrence, because I was kind of down on Trevor Lawrence. I was in the minority.
He's supposed to be the next Peyton Manning.
Yeah, he's supposed to be that generational prospect. So let's give it a few years with, not 5 years, but then over the next 2 years to see what this team looks like heading into his 4th year. And I think that's the important part. Your you know what your rookies are, depending on the quality and the situation and everything. Typically by the 3rd year. And that was Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker. That's what they said. Now, they say a lot of things and they go back and turn it around and they do something totally different. But they think 3 years is when you really find out what your rookie is. So those that are in the chat right now saying next year should be a quarterback competition between Will Levis and Cam Ward. Cam Ward is the bus and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to be the situation we're in. And I think that if you get the coaching hire right, I just want to provide a little bit of hope in this dark world.
I said that about Levis and Cam. And the reason I say that competition makes us all better. I think if you're comfortable, sometimes you can just be content. And not that you don't want to be the best version of yourself, but it's a lot more motivating with a guy behind you pushing you. It is.
And that's something that Cam didn't really have this summer.
Just Brandon Allen back there.
Brandon Allen back there.
Let's go to JC in Hendersonville. JC, you're on with Titans Talk Back.
Yeah, I called back in August, and I told y'all that the Titans would suck. Kevin wasn't on the show that night. Now, I would like to get Kevin's opinion, because Kevin, I love you. You're the miracle man. You were a part of my childhood. Do you think that the Titans are absolutely terrible, or am I just I'll hang up and listen, but I just I don't get it. We're 1-8 right now. I like Cam Ward. I like DK. I like Jeffrey Simmons. But this team is horrible to watch every single Sunday. I feel like I waste 3 hours of my life watching this team every Sunday, man. I just want to get your opinion, and I'll hang up and I'll listen.
All right, thanks, JC.
I appreciate JC. I'll say this. What's that old saying? We are what our record says we are. And however you define that, that's what they are. They are 1-8, and that's not very good. But I will say he also had those conflicting, battles of, the players and watching them. That's where you got to hold on to, because obviously the roster is going to shift and change over the next several months, and 6-7 months period is going to change a lot of bit. But there's a nucleus, a core group of guys that provide a little bit of optimism and hope going forward with the organization over the next year or two. I think even though, since we're in the midst of the season, middle part of the season, we lose sight of the initial conversation, even back in August, this was a year of rebuild. Now, we didn't know what that was going to look like. We hope that, I think we talked about it. We hope that it was at least a good brand of football trending in the right direction. And that might be the disappointment part of this right now. But we all knew this was going to be a battle this year. This was going to be a struggle this year. Now, that doesn't excuse 1-8. And that doesn't mean, as a fan, you can't be mad and upset and want to vomit when you watch your team get beat up like that. That's not it. But I want to hold on to the positivity of in DK and Cam and Gunner and all the guys that are starting to show leadership, getting better week to week, that are starting to figure this thing out, coupled with people like Big Jeff that can hopefully build upon going forward in the next 2 or 3 years.
If I'm not mistaken, we had some fun with JC back in the preseason when he called in. Is he the one, do you recall, that was getting on to us because we were happy that they won a preseason game?
Yeah, because we were like, we just didn't know if it was ever going to happen.
We tried to tell everybody
the
back
one I
then,
missed.
Yeah.
We've got to enjoy this win, even if it is a preseason win, because we don't know how many times we're going to get to celebrate these wins during the season. But to JC's credit, he was right. This team was not good. We should not have been celebrating that.
I was trying to remember what the crux of his call was.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Let's go to Andy. Andy, you're on with Titans Talk Back. Andy.
So sorry, wanted to take you off Bluetooth. Hello, fellas.
Oh, there you go.
How you doing, man?
Good. I'm not even mad anymore because the desired psychological effect has happened with the changing of the coach and then having a good showing, a better showing today, to where I don't want to put it on the players as much as I used to want to. But there's a lot of shining lights in these new guys coming on. But I'd say the most disappointing thing, I believe, to me, and I agree with Zach, I heard you say it, and I'm sure others have said it as well, it's all about how bad the play calling was. Wrong time, wrong. If this guy's the quarterback coach, does he not know Cam better than anyone? And I think he knows his quarterback wants to go for it, or at least be shown the opportunity for it. The offensive line wasn't hanging out good, but that kid can make magic, and he wants the opportunity to show it. And that's where they've got to get back to. But that's just my 2 cents. Appreciate y'all as always. Have a great night.
Yeah, appreciate it. Listen, someone put it in the chat. Mikey Dreamer put it in the chat on YouTube. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. The Titans 2025 season.
Yeah, that's run it back next week. They're not even playing next week.
So so we all get to enjoy our Sundays.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking forward to it.
If you get another exciting draft pick and somebody that everybody is visibly, is like, that's going to be a football player, I think going into the 2026 season, I think have everybody excited again, because the following year the stadium's open and all the excitement coming from that naturally comes from being in a new environment. But I think depending on where they fall, we'll say they're going to be in the top 10 for sure. But and I'm giving that, I'm just being gracious, but it'll probably be top 5. But top 10 pick for sure. I think people will start getting excited again. And I think people got excited over Cam, obviously, because everything that came out of training camp, it's trending the right way. I thought the chemistry between him and Ridley was very, very intoxicating, man, but it had materialized. It is when the real game speed, bullets start flying, so to speak, started going. And injuries have taken its toll, too, especially on offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if they trade back in this draft and they end up with a Jordan Tyson or a Chris Bell at wide receiver and David Bailey,
Carnell Tate has looked pretty good.
I'm gonna be. They're gonna sucker me right back in. I'm gonna be all hope next summer.
Hook you.
I'm telling you,
there's some wide receivers that can help you in the draft. The problem is they'll probably just draft a right guard or something, and really just put the knife in the heart.
Now I'm the one being positive, and you're the one that's being hopeless.
Gotta be yin and yang.
Yeah,
we just can't all be positive.
Well, let me ask you. You probably know this better than me, Zach. Like, who are some potential free agent offensive linemen next year?
Ooh, that is a good question, because I was just kind of looking at like pass rushers and everything. And here's the problem, I'll look it up, but also like good offensive linemen typically don't hit free agency.
They don't, because
like it took a 35-year-old to hit free agency, Kevin Zeitler, right?
Yeah,
no offense to Kevin Zeitler or anything, and he hasn't really been that good. But they are obviously going to need a right guard. They may need a center. Lloyd Cushenberry may get cut. He can get cut after this year, and they save money against the cap. So it's not like, when you really look at it, they may need all those kinds of stuff. Like you got Braden Smith is set to hit from Indianapolis, set to hit free agency. But is he really going to hit free agency?
Probably not the way that run game's going. I doubt it.
Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller both are set to hit free agency. Isaac Suamalo from the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's set to hit free agency. Those are just few of the guys that I'm looking through. Like Trevor Penning could hit free agency, and he's a younger guy. But Will Hernandez is another one that's on this list. Like there's a lot of interior offensive linemen. Dylan Parham over there at Las Vegas, he's set to hit. So like a lot of guys are set to hit, but we'll never know how many actually are. 49 interior offensive linemen that are guards and Braden Smith, who's inexplicably listed at right tackle up here, but listed with the guards. So just kind of throw that.
He's playing right tackle.
Yeah,
this season.
So I don't know why he's on the guard list. I filtered
he
just for guard.
Was their guard. I think he's got the versatility,
but he's 40. That's 49 players. How many of that 49 is actually going to hit free agency, and how many of that 49 is going to really make a difference? At some point, if you're the Tennessee Titans, you need to see what you got in Jackson Slater.
I'm with it.
You just may not want Cam Ward behind center at that point. You may want to put Brandon Allen back there. But you need to figure it out, because if he can actually show up against NFL-level competition, Jackson Slater, that's good for your team. Yeah. That's one less hole. And right now, all they do is create more holes.
And that's kind of the mold they want to get into, is like you have the next man up so that people can leave in free agency. You just plug that hole, and then you get the next developmental guy so that by the time you need them, they're ready to go. So I'm with you. I think, like, man, if the season's going nowhere, you got to see what you got for next year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, coming up next, we'll go to more of your phones, Kenny and Dylan, 615-737-1045. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback here on 1045 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com, and they're available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. And hey, the Tennessee Titans got 6 sacks today on Justin Herbert.
Yeehaw.
6 sacks. Last time they got 6 sacks was October 29th, 2023, when they got 6 sacks versus Atlanta. Of course, that was the Will Levis debut game. So let's check out today's final sack numbers tonight. Thanks to Cedric Gray, Jihad Ward, Draymond Jones, and Sebastian Joseph Day. The Titans had 6 sacks versus Chargers, adding $600 to the already $2,000, bringing the total to $2,600 for Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee from Kroger. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery, plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com. Pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Kenny. Kenny, you're on with Titans Talkback.
How's it going?
Hello, Kenny.
You okay? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. I just got a couple of things that I want to talk about real quick, and then I'll hang up and listen. The first thing is coaching, not just play calling, but coaching. Because we've been running the same thing all year. Runs on first down, screens, then trick plays sprinkled in, wildcat, and every time it fails. It's a joke. So if we think that these guys are capable of coaching these guys up, what makes us believe that? If they can't look at what's going on and see these guys can't do this and stop doing it, what makes us think we can count on to coach these guys up? And then the other thing is Cam Ward, the development. People are acting like this kid hasn't done anything good at all. When he has, he's done a lot of good stuff. And there's a lot of bad stuff in there too, no doubt. But acting like he's a bust is crazy. I mean, Levis had 2 years and he was still awful. And then the guy that a lot of these people wanted, Sam Darnold, took 6 years to develop. And we're going to try to say that he's great and Cam sucks. It makes no sense. I'll hang up and listen.
I agree. A little bit more patience for a rookie quarterback in that is being inserted into a 3-13 or 3-14 roster that has gotten worse. Mm-hmm. It's a roster that is devoid of talent.
And to his point, though, and it was a great call, is there has been flashes of things, but sometimes our memory goes to the things that are not so good because they're so evident. And I think I heard Coach Mack say this on the way in today. When you start getting rushed and hit and sacked a lot as he has, you start developing this anxiety in the pocket. You can't help but to. And I mean by that is you start throwing a little quicker, throwing different angles, and you start missing some things because you don't want to take the shots. And you want to be out there, you want to play. And I wonder if there's a sense of that because he is a pocket guy, and he's not scared to be in the pocket and deliver by any stretch of imagination. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying you can't help but have that internal clock in. You might rush some throws more often than you normally would when you're taking the licks that he's been taking.
Yeah, and as far as his question about like the faith in the coaches, I mean, I think we're kind of seeing that right now. It kind of feels like they're trying the best that they can, and
we all recognize it's not good enough.
It's not.
But Cam Ward has looked better under this combo, right? Like. You looked at Cam Ward the first 3 weeks, and you're like, yeah, I kind of see stuff. Then you see the next 3 weeks, and you're like, oh, this could be bad. Because that was with Bo and Callahan. And now when it's Bo and McCoy with Callahan completely removed, I think we've seen the best. I wouldn't say today's the best game. I need to go back and watch the tape because there's a lot of misplays, and some of that is them taking the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, 21 pass attempts. He had over 30 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I need to kind of reevaluate on the all 22. But I would say the last 2 weeks have been the best Cam's looked all year.
Yeah, and they ran the ball a lot better today. So that's going to help him too.
I don't want to let them off the hook.
Right.
Because the coaching, I think, to this point has not been just look, it's a results-based league. The results have not been ideal. But I still look at the state of this roster and how so far gone it is. And I think sometimes like I might have better luck trying to teach my cat how to change a tire than to get results with the state of this roster right now.
Which cat? You have two.
I do have two. I don't know. Bucky's the bigger one. He can probably actually lift the tire. Maybe.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know where the faith is because I don't have a lot of faith in the roster. And to this point, the results have dictated that the coaching staff, regardless of who's there, has not been able to get the most out of these players.
I think it's more for me, it's like get these young players, get them the reps, get them the experience, and please come out unscathed. Mm-hmm. Like, not only just physically off the injury report, but mentally and emotionally unscathed. And let's go into next season with a little bit of breath of fresh air. And them with an offseason under their belt. Hey, they're learning not only how to be starters in the NFL, probably a little bit earlier than what most expected outside of Cam Ward.
Exactly.
But they're learning how to be pros. Mm-hmm. So your approach to the offseason last year, Alec Iamander, Chimere DK, Gunnar Helm, those guys spent their offseason training for the combine, spent their offseason training for pro day. Mm-hmm. Then they come in and they're not in football shape, which is totally different than the shape that you're going into right now. Now they'll have a whole offseason just to be pros, just to work on their craft. And I think we've seen with their work ethic, those three plus Cam Ward, again, it's about building off those guys. Now, you're not building around Chimere DK and Alec Iamander, but you're building with them in mind because you're building around Cam Ward. So you give those guys a full offseason and not having to worry about the combine and pro days and interviews and this and that, and they can focus on their craft. I think you can see a leap next year.
They literally have not had a rest since they're probably right before their senior season, like off season. Like,
and they're probably not going to rest this week. They probably should.
No, and I mean like physically. Yeah. They went, like you said, they went from bowl game or last game of the season to training, getting ready for the combine, getting ready for pro days, to mini camp, to the draft, to the mini camps, to training camp, to getting ready for the training camp season. I mean, then the training camp. Now you're in the season,
preseason too.
Preseason, yeah. They are. I mean, like you said, now you get to go into the next part of this, which is becoming a pro and understanding how the offseason works, how to prepare for just this season. There's lots in there. It's a college game, but when it's your job on a daily, there's different things you got to consider, like nutrition and all the things that come apart where it's on you now. You got to hire people to do it. Hope you have the knowledge to that you've attained over the years that you can do it. And then to the roster part too, like, I'm not glossing this over, and I'm kind of giving a crutch in this statement, but this team has had injuries in the worst kind of way, like offensive line, defensive line, things like that, and they're not there with the depth, as you mentioned earlier, to overcome that. So when you don't have the depth there to overcome it, you have the wrong kind of injuries in the wrong kind of positions, it just breeds itself to have situations like this where you can have flashes to be good, but at the end of the day, you get exposed to that's not Big Jeff over there. That's not Calvin Ridley over there, or whatever that injury might be. And I'm not even going to talk about offensive line because they haven't overcome an injury, let alone what the Stars are doing all year long. And that's where the leaps for the good teams are. And we saw that a little bit today with the Chargers. And they had some injuries in some spots, but they were able to overcome those. And the Titans are just not there. And
then we got someone in the chat that's just kind of going off the rails over here, Lonzo Wright. Uh-oh. He's like, Vrabel got us to first in the AFC with tons of injuries. Well, he also had Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
You know, Ben Jones. Like, is a totally different veteran team. This is not a veteran team. This is a young team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And And again, it's like you look at this team. I remember the story about Caleb Williams had no clue how to watch film his rookie year. And nobody taught him how to watch film that year. And look at what happened. And I'm not saying that's happening here, but that is a rookie story. And now look at Caleb Williams paired with a new coach that taught him how to be a pro. But he also learned on his own. Yeah. So these young guys are going to have a totally different offseason schedule than what they had last year. That could do so much because this is a group that we have seen. They're leaders. They love football, and they love being in the lab. Yeah. You think that Cam Ward isn't going to be working on everything he knows he has to be working on this summer? Yeah. Like, that's the hope.
Yeah.
I'm back to positive.
Yeah. You raise an interesting point there, and I would say to Lonzo, hang in there, Lonzo. It's going to be okay, man. I promise. It kind of feels like there's conflicting ideologies here, or at least conflicting motives right now, because there's a larger conversation to have about player development and the college game to the NFL these days. I hear it a lot, like talking to people about offensive line. Like a lot of these guys are getting to the league having never really been properly developed. You mentioned the quarterback, Caleb Williams, not knowing how to watch tape. The game in college, like these coaches, it's a nice thought that they're getting guys ready for the NFL. That's not their job.
That's not their job. That's what they're doing.
Their jobs is to win games. And
Josh Heupel is a great example. His system, as long as he wins games, he doesn't care what his players do in the NFL. And they got drafted, that's all he cares about.
Yeah. You see it with the Ole Miss offense as well, and Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart was an incredibly raw prospect, and now what Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka are doing in New York are kind of, keeping the bumpers on for him. So you have that. This understanding that players, generally speaking, are less developed at certain positions coming out of college into the NFL, but you have this desire on the other end, this instant gratification that Dr. Dyson has mentioned before. I don't know if that was even on the air or not. It might have been just in between show. But so do you have the patience to get these guys that are underdeveloped up to speed? Like, or are you going to be this instant gratification? If you don't mold these guys into champions right away, we'll find somebody that can, and then you just cycle through people over and over. So it's almost like two conflicting things. You have to find that balance.
Man, I can do the whole show just on this alone. This conversation I've been having with coaches in the league, Mike included, but in the league over this last several years, and the quality of professionals coming to the league. Athleticism is as good, if not better, as it's ever been. These guys are tremendous athletes, but the knowledge of the game is not always there.
Yeah.
And I'll start with quarterback. What was the quarterback here? His first time he huddled it since like Pop Warner was when he got to the Titans. Was that Mariota?
Yeah, I don't think he had ever been in a huddle.
He had never been in a huddle to call a play.
Yeah.
And everything was dictated for him. He didn't have to read.
To someone more recent that we know of, because we've heard Tyke Tolbert talk about it, Jaquan Jackson last year. Tulane has always gotten their play calls from the sidelines, never huddled. He's never been in a huddle and received a play call from a quarterback.
And he's always been on one side or the other. And they had to know formations. And there was a linebacker here from Alabama, the first-round draft pick, middle linebacker, drawing a blank on his name. It was several years ago. But he struggled here, and the conversation was and he's come from Alabama.
It was Marcus. I just found an article from 2015.
And his athleticism carried him through. But now you're here, and you got to formation recognized, down and distance recognized, personnel recognized. There's so much that goes in shifts, and if they move here, you check to this, and you do this. I remember my rookie year coming in, I had adjustment just about on everything. I had to look what that defensive end did, and that linebacker and that safety did. If one of them came, meaning he blitzed, that adjusted my routes. If that safety stayed there, that adjusted my route. It was a difference, and I came from an offense where it was spread, but I also played multiple positions. I did different things. A lot of these guys are looking to the sideline and looking at cardboards or cutouts, and they're staying on one side or the other. And I'm talking about receivers specifically, but offensively, even the linemen, all they do is sit there, they look back, and the quarterback gives them a few cues, and they know what play to run. And now you're telling these guys come in here, and we talked about this off air, the verbiage in offense, especially in pro, is like reading like a novel. But there's a lot of information within that conversation, in that play call, and you got to dissect that in literally 3 seconds or less.
Yeah.
And it takes time. But unfortunately, the amount of money that's invested in, especially in the number one pick overall, they're not allowed that time to see that through. You have to put your investment out there early and hope that they learn on the job very quickly.
I think it's interesting, though, like you're seeing guys like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Come on, man.
Who are on their second or, third,
Sam's
fourth,
on
fifth
his
stops.
Fourth team, I think.
Yeah.
Sam, because he Jets, San Francisco, Minnesota, Carolina, and now Seattle. And Baker was the Rams, the Browns, the Panthers,
and now
Tampa Bay. I don't think I'm missing one in there. So fifth and fourth.
Good memory. Good job, man.
So it's, those guys, it's not the same trajectory for everybody. And the question becomes, like, with that in mind, are you going to be patient enough with Cam Ward to see him get to that spot?
And we can go back to a guy in our division who was similar, Lawrence. We're talking about it. We've seen flashes, but considering he was supposed to be this new guy, that generational quarterback, I don't know if I don't know if he can ever meet his myth. I don't think he ever could. But then I go to Andrew Luck. I was like, be careful what you say. I remember saying it. Be careful what you say. And I mean, comparing him to Peyton Manning, he's falling in the shoes, in the shadow of one of the greatest to ever do it, and a Hall of Famer, shoe-in Hall of Famer. He was still playing the league at the time. Like, be careful what you say. He's generational, and he ended up being pretty good, injuries aside. And then the next guy was Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not saying Cam Ward is being mentioned in that same conversation. I think he's going to be a good football player. But my point is, we do not take the time, especially with quarterbacks, to say you have time to develop. We got to get you going up to speed real quick. And so this experience is the cruelest, but the most necessary teacher of all, is going to be valuable if he can progressively get better. But they also, to your point, Zach, I think, Stone, you said the same thing. What do they build around here?
Yeah.
Can they continue to build things around him so he can develop in the right way? And I'm not saying he's been great throughout the season, but we've seen things where you say, okay, we can do that. The difference between him and somebody like Levis, it seemed like Levis was regressing. He started off so good. I think he set the bar so high for himself with that big game, 4-touchdown game, like big arm, that it just went downhill from there. Yep. And I don't know if he ever came out of that tank. And that's the difference in me. Cam doesn't seem to get rattled like that. He just seems to be even keel and progressively getting better. He might have a bad game or two. He might have a bad decision or two, but he's processing it and getting better. We haven't seen quite like the back-to-back same mistake over and over again. Like, is he not learning? What is he not listening to coaches? He's not coachable. And that, to me, is the difference between him and Levis, aside from some of the physical attributes of bigger, stronger, bigger arm, those type of things. But Cam is a competitor. He's going to get better, and at least he's showing that kind of that sign.
Yeah, and I think that is the encouraging thing. Is we go back to the mental makeup aspect of it that we talked about with Cam Ward. You feel like this guy is a little unflappable. Like he is going to work through these reps and come out better on the other side. You bring up Will Levis. I would say it felt like a roller coaster with him. And as of now, I don't think it feels like a roller coaster with Cam Ward. I don't think you have the wide peaks and valleys that you have before. So I think that's the thing that would encourage me if I'm evaluating this situation. I'd say, okay, we've got the guy that has the makeup. Let's ride this thing out and let him develop.
I also think, too, people probably consider the talent around Levis a little better than they do around Cam at this point.
This is a much younger squad than what he's had in his 10 years and that stuff out there. All right, coming up next, we'll go to Dylan. This is Lee Company Titans Talk back here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Let's go straight to the phones. Let's go to Dylan. Dylan, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, man, Rashawn Evans, that was the linebacker you were thinking of back there.
Yeah, thank you.
But, yeah, of course, man. Kind of forgotten. I thought he was going to be a dog here because he was see-ball, get-ball in Bama, but once, he had to call the entire offense, it kind of went away. Yep. But Cam Ward, man, if you're a Titans fan and you don't think he's a star, I don't know what the heck you guys have been watching. I mean, everything that he said at the podium so far, his attitude and everything, and it's truly rubbing off on all of the young rookies. Like, if you listen to Chim DK and Io Manor and Gunnar Helm and their post-game interviews and, if they call into the radio during the week or whatnot, come on. I think Mike Borgonzi kind of hit it out of the park with this bunch. And just watching them develop, JC is like the worst kind of Titans fan, man. How do you get mad about a freaking preseason win? Like, oh my God, you predicted that the team that picked number 1 overall is going to be bad. Good for you. Like, you want a standing ovation? Go cheer for the Sparkle Kitties or the freaking Ponies, whatever you want to do, man. Get out of here.
Love it.
Anyways, this is the best time to be a Titans fan, man. It's going to make those wins that much better. It's as a GM kind of thing. Everyone wants to play Madden and be the GM. This is your time, all right? You get to watch the development. You're watching the people come in. And honestly, I used to be mad about Amy Adams with all this stuff, but really, at the end of the day, she's just doing what all of us Titans fans wanted. Like, she got Callie out of there, and it started that fire. Now, to shout out to Kenny, the other caller, he was saying, why is it the same thing now that Callie's gone? Well, Mike was friggin' Callie's mentor. He was his offensive assistant, so it's going to kind of be the same. He's not going to be here long, but, he wasn't even aggressive when he had LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers, let's be real. I do got to say, I kind of think this is a little bit all of a build-up for that 2027 season. It is optics. It's a business. When Nissan Stadium comes with that brand-new stadium, they want a good-looking football team to be in there. And I really do think this little nugget between Cam Ward and Jeremiah Smith, I know Cam Ward is going to have a little bit of say in this and asking for it because at that time it'll be, his offense. Him and Jeremiah Smith were both like kind of buddies during the recruiting time when Cam wanted him to come down to Miami, and Jeremiah actually kind of flipped it on him. So there's that little nugget in there. Love you guys. Stoney, you need more airtime. You're the freaking best. You got a pulse on the Titans like nobody else. And we need to get Mike Tomlin here. If the Steelers think that Mike Tomlin is a bad head coach and they want to get rid of him, bring him to Tennessee, please.
Yeah. I'm with you.
We've said that.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Whoever, you must be Dylan Keeley. Is this, like every time Dylan calls in, he wants to make sure that everybody knows you get more air.
I know a Dylan. If it's the Dylan I know, that's salt of the earth right there.
There you go.
Good dude.
But yeah, there's a lot. We were talking earlier, Kevin O'Connell, there were Vikings fans that were wanting him fired last week. And it was crazy. And I'm thinking, like, people don't want Sean McDermott. People don't want John Harbaugh. And, like, we're here with legitimate coaching gripes. Yeah. And these guys with winning records and proven success, their fans hate them.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, if Kevin O'Connell gets fired, I'm driving up a U-Haul, and I'm just going to be charged with kidnapping. I'll do that for the Tennessee Titans. I'll get charged with kidnapping because we are going to, I'm going to bring them down.
I saw on Twitter Packers fans going back and forth last week about, is it time to move on from LaFleur? Have we hit the ceiling with LaFleur? And I'm like, brother.
Well, the Panthers game may
that might do it.
Let's do it.
And somebody saying the same thing about Reed. I was about to call him Andre Reed.
Yeah. Oh, Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Yeah. The same thing about him in Kansas City. He lost his magic. Like, man, there's only one team that wins it every year.
You don't know how good you have it. You don't know how good you have it. I'm with Dylan. If Mike Tomlin's available, I'd be doing cartwheels.
I will do unspeakable things to get a proven head coach like Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, you name them. Proven head coach down here, proven culture setter down here. Heck yeah. Kevin O'Connell with Cam Ward, I'm all in.
Yeah.
That guy got 7 wins with Josh Dobbs.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? He did wonders in a year where you have like Josh Dobbs and I think Clayton too. No, who was the Jaron Hall? I think played a game that year.
Oh gosh, I can't even remember. Yeah, the BYU quarterback.
Yeah, that little small little guy.
Yeah.
And I mean,
little guy.
he's a little slim kid. But like, yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah.
Like
Harbaugh.
people call this crazy on Football and Other F Words. Let me tell you something. Was it last summer?
It was last summer. I think it was.
And they were like, you guys are crazy if you would trade for, you would just swap coaches with Mike Tomlin. Like, why would you want Mike Tomlin here? They haven't won a playoff game. And I'm like, he's never had a losing record.
And I think I looked at his record several weeks ago where he started this whole conversation. I think his worst is 8-8.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's his worst.
That's
season.
his worst.
We were just talking, not even Mike Tomlin, but we were kind of talking about, if you could get to what the Steelers have, that would be great. And people were flaming us for it, saying like, they can't win the big one. They can't win in the playoffs. And I'm like,
I mean, they only got a Super Bowl, under Mike Tomlin.
They are relevant every year.
Every year for the last 20 years.
There's only one champion every year. And I think people forget how much goes into, luck and opportunity, right time, right place to actually get there. And you know what it was, especially probably before Tom Brady left to go to Tampa, I think people made that assumption that's the norm. The people in the greater part of Massachusetts, they had a good 20-year run.
Yeah.
That is not the norm.
Right.
That is not the norm. Even the run the Chiefs are on right now, they've had some lean years.
Yeah.
For a long, long time. Yeah. They got with Priest Holmes. They went back up with Gonzalez and guys. Then they went back down, and they're back up. Eagles, down, up, down. Andy Reid comes up, and then he leaves, and they go down, they're back up. Like, it's not, the norm is not Super Bowl or bust every year.
No, it's not.
You want to be relevant and competitive every year, and if it's your year to make that run or two, then that's what you do. Because even look at San Francisco. We're talking in the 80s between San Francisco and the Cowboys, which I grew up a Cowboys fan. They were the most relevant teams of all, and they were seemingly in the AFC or NFC Championship game or Super Bowl, one of them every year for like a 10-year run. It seemed like they're a 12-year run. But look now, they've had opportunity. They've been there. They've won one. They've been relevant. You would take being relevant all year long. Every year.
Certainly would.
Ramon Foster says, just got to keep knocking on the door. That's what this game is. Like the Steelers are constantly knocking on the door of anything, because all you got to do is get in the playoffs, right? The Tennessee Titans are standing at the curb looking at a locked gate and a big wrought iron gate that they can't get through. Security guards, snipers, you got Dobermans everywhere. That's how far away they are from the door now.
It's like that VIP party. They just looking at everybody go in.
They're up in the tree with their binoculars looking at the door.
I feel like they might be about 100 miles out of town with a flat tire on the side of the highway.
They're not even at the party yet.
Do you want to talk about this nugget? Cam Ward pairing with Jeremiah Smith?
I would love it. But also,
does
that tell you something, to play devil's advocate? Does that tell you something that Jeremiah Smith chose not to go with Cam Ward?
Ooh, there's a spicy nugget.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know until Dylan Keeley told me all that. I didn't know anything about Jeremiah Smith and Cam Ward.
No, but that if you're getting Jeremiah Smith in 2027, it probably means 2026 is going to be pretty bad too. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, it may be, right. I mean, we may double the win total, but if we're 1 win this year and 2 wins next year, that's doubling.
Fair enough.
And technically, everything moved in the right direction. Yeah. But I do think that this team, it's all for me right now. It's all about the coaching decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once you get the coach decided, and you hire the next head coach, which if I were to bet money, this is not because I know anything, it's just I'm making connections here, is I would bet money on Matt Nagy. If you get Matt Nagy or a Mike McCarthy or even a Robert Saleh, even if I disagree with the idea that he'll eventually be able to turn everything around, if they're just Mike Mularkey, that is good for this team if they are in the sense of they get you out of the gutter. They break down the culture, destroy it, and build up a new culture, and that culture equals wins, because that's what Mike Mularkey did.
He's done it everywhere too, similar to Tomlin.
Mike Mularkey just destroyed this culture, built it up, and he hit a ceiling. And then here comes Mike Vrabel to take over a already 2-time 9-7 team with a playoff win under its belt, and they got leaders all around. The culture's established, and then he takes it to the next level. Even if you get that for the next 2 years, that's better than what you got now.
Right.
That's better than what you've had the last 4 years.
Yeah. And by the way, the Saints in this race of who's the worst right now, getting their heads beat in.
34-10.
So it's looking a lot better. I'm calling that one. I'm calling that early. Titans win.
There we go.
There you go.
November 2nd.
Tyler Shuck, your boy Tyler Shuck, a big Tyler Shuck fan over here in Stony. 13 of 19 for 153 yards and a touchdown. So there you go.
There you go. The future is bright.
The future is bright. Let's go to Terry. Terry, you're on with Titans Talk Back.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
All right, man.
So I got on late. You guys were talking about the Will Levis comparison, but I will say this about coaching. A great coach can make average players believe they are great. And when you put them in a team, they can actually produce.
Yeah.
That goes no matter what team you're trying to build, whether it be an assembly team or whatever it is. They have to believe. And if you're not good enough to make them believe, then you'll never make it. As far as the comparison, I've managed for the better part of 36 years. And Will Levis, now I'll be open, I am a Kentucky fan, so I was pretty excited when he got there. However, there became a time to where I said, okay, he's not going to recover from this. I don't care how strong you are. When people begin to lose faith in you, and you hear the chatter, I don't care. It was on the zone for, every show that was there, how bad he was, how terrible he was. I don't care. You're going to believe that.
Yep.
Some of my guys, one time, there was a guy that was never, ever sick, and he actually made kind of jokes about the guys that would get sick. They started telling him, man, you feel bad? You look bad. You feel bad? Within 2 weeks, he was deathly sick, and there wasn't anything wrong with him. So it is a mental game, and to be in that capacity as a quarterback, you got to be tough. And I believe he's tough, and I believe he's really athletic, but he definitely has to get to that point to where he can believe himself. But that's really where I am. Cam Ward, if we start saying he's terrible, he'll fall too. He's young.
Yep.
I agree. Listen, and I think Cam Ward has that mental toughness to overcome. I don't even think he listens to the radio. I'd be very surprised if he listens to anything that we all say.
If you remember what I used to say last year, Zach, I said people need to check on Will Levis. He's saying all the right things in media, but he's not okay. I can tell just from his framing of after a bad throw or on the sidelines and his energy level, and he can say all he wants to. I said, somebody needs to check on that man. I've been there. I get it, man. You can't help it when you feel like everybody's down on you, and you, regardless of the ones in your locker room, you feel that way. You playing in front of literally hundreds of thousands of people every Sunday, and you think they're all down on you, and you're in the most profile position of sports. And people are just jumping on you for this and jumping on you for that. And
making memes.
Yeah, and making memes of you. And that's why I said, so it's hard.
And he's a guy that's online.
Come on. And yes, and he was online. But I'm going to go back to the whole, Tomlin thing. Not necessarily Tomlin coming here, but if you think about his consistency and comparing it to the Titans, what is one thing that has been consistent with the Steelers throughout that? They've kept a solid defense that keeps them in games, and they mess around, win games that they may have not or should have won. And I think there needs to be a formula. I don't know what the Titans formula is right now, because I think y'all were alluding to, drafting a guard, the second pick overall, or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's funny.
But that feels
sounds,
very Titans-esque, right?
But they had a formula. You keep your pass rush, keep your secondary tight, your linebackers, and if your defense is solid, we can work on a piece of offense. They haven't had that stable quarterback since Roethlisberger left. Now they got a Hall of Famer now, and they're winning. But my point is, they've always kept in these. Even before with Bill Cowher was there, and he was a long tenured head coach for the Steelers, and they were always relevant with him there. Same kind of thing. They always had a solid defense. They kept the defense solid throughout all of this.
The last time they had a losing record, the Steelers, was 2003.
Dang.
Was that Bill Cowher's last year?
That was Bill Cowher's fourth to last year, because his last year was 2006, but they were 6-10 that year, and just 2003.
20-something years last
but
time.
Hey, that's too good for some Titans fans out there.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Wow.
No, we got to aim higher.
Name another franchise like that. You can't.
You just can't. I mean, not even. I don't even think the Ravens had that kind of success either.
No, they were pretty bad before Harbaugh got there.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we'll go to more to your phones. We got Cedric on the line. and we'll go to more of those. 615-737-1045. This is Titans Talk Back, Lee Company Titans Talk Back right here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talk Back. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Let's do this. Let's go to the phones. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go to Cedric. Cedric, you're on with Titans Talk Back.
What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Hey, man, listen, while I think we were better today, I think this coaching staff, along with Callahan, they struggle with the feel of the game. A lot of people talked about second half adjustments, but to me, it's the feel of the game. You can't talk about a young team has to figure out how to win, and then you do things like the Wildcat stuff that they did. But I know this is going to be unpopular, but when it was 4th and 1, man, and you're down a field goal, dude, kick the ball, man. Take the points, tie the game up. Let this young team know that they're only down by a touchdown, and let the defense go out there. The crowd's going to be back into it, man. You're going to be more energized. Don't try to be the hero, man, because Cam Ward yelled at you last week. Take the points, man, and let this team figure out how to win. That's one thing. The other thing I think, man, is this offensive line still struggles against games up front. And I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's the curse of Mike Munchak not being here, that Amy pissed him off and he put some kind of voodoo on the O-line or whatever. But, man, we struggle against basic games up front, and I don't know what it is, man. We week in and week out, man, I talked about this O-line. We got to do something about that, man. Amy, bring Mike back or something. Get that figured out. Now, hey, Dice, I got something for you, man. What's up with these wide receiver screens, man? The timing seems to be off. The blocking's off. Can you talk a little bit about that when I get offline? And then the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is at the end of the half, Cam Ward had another mishap of the football. I don't know if he got hit or whatever, but I looked up his hand size, and his hand size seems to be about an inch smaller than the average NFL quarterback. With it starting to get cold, should he go to gloves like Roethlisberger used to, man? And Dice, I'll let you talk about that. All right, man. Hey, y'all be easy. Hey, Dice, I'll hit you up, man, about Saturday.
All right, bro.
All right, thanks, Cedric.
What's interesting about that is I was looking at him take his helmet off today. I was like, his hands are kind of small.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're barely over the 9 inches. Now, there's a couple of quarterbacks that are like that. I think Joe Burrow is right there around his hand size. So, but I do think he has a problem, and I do think he should consider maybe spending the bye week, put on some gloves.
For the grip,
let's see.
For the grip aspect of it.
See what it feels like.
Yeah.
See what it feels like.
And the thing about the screen game, in particular in the pros, because the speed and the how the field is condensed, those are hit and miss. Usually those are just for the most part, those are just supposed to be extended runs. You're just trying to get 3-4 yards. Now, if you bust through, you get the right kind of timing and blocking, then maybe. But the guys are so good at dissecting that and so fast. I mean, you got D linemen running 4.6, 4.7. They're going to run that down. So you're really just trying to expand the defense a little bit, make them run a little bit more to get to you and get 3-4 yards. They're not necessarily for home runs. Now, because I can get on the board. We can drop home runs all day long. On the board, it always looks good. But the other guys on the side get paid too.
Yeah.
And so but usually, even in college and pros now, those are kind of extended runs, almost like a pitch, if you will, like, an outside run, but it's not necessarily for the home run.
I think a little bit of it is also that this team practices these screens, and we heard from Easton Freeze reported that they practiced the Wildcat all week, and they loved what they saw with the Wildcat. You're going up against the top 10 defense in a game. You're going up against they were good today, but overall, the talent level between this Tennessee Titans defense that you're practicing against and this LA Chargers
team for sure,
is a little bit wide. And I know that you have to practice plays and all that kind of stuff, but that's why I go back to okay, you went to the well at least one too many times with the Wildcat. Mm-hmm. You have to understand who you're playing against in the moment, which goes back to Cedric's, or was it Dylan's? I can't remember which, feel for the game.
Yes, I said that.
Yeah, I'm curious. How much resources are you committing to coaching, practicing the blocking of those screens? For the wide receivers out in front, is that something you're devoting a lot of time to? Because I think that's been an aspect of it that I've been critical of, watching these screens that the Titans are run kind of get stuffed and go for nothing. It's like they're running these screens behind guys that I don't typically see blocking. So are they being counted on in that spot to deliver those blocks, and how much are they they practicing that throughout the week.
It's a little bit of everything, right? I think at the same time, especially on the edge screens, like the receiver screens, you're relying on a wide receiver to do his job. He's going against a guy that's virtually his same size, but that defender is also that he's conditioned, knows how to get off blocks and everything. So it's a timing thing, right? You have literally the average length of a play is less than 3 seconds when you think about the length of a play in its totality, let alone trying to get something out quick, get linemen out and block and create running lanes. Then there's like the split screens, you got the run blitz screens, you got the middle screens. There's different variations of it, but it all is predicated on what the tendency of pressure that the guy across you brings. If you got a team that likes to bring a lot of pressure through A and B gaps, you're going to do probably a little bit more middle screens because you got to get to the second level. But if you got a team that does the edge pressure or zone blitzing, then yeah, you do things on the edges a little bit more. You're trying to get that guy. Like J.J. Watt was a guy that people like to screen because he's coming uphill. But he's also a guy that's smart enough to dissect stuff and turn his hips around and get into the play, make the play, because he's that kind of talent.
Like James Lynch today.
Yeah, so
James Lynch today.
You take it in. Where'd you go? You're trying to catch them sleeping. You're trying to catch them over anxious or overly exerting themselves towards whatever they think the play is. But these guys have been seeing it for so long; they're conditioned. So it's you might get one, and if you're lucky, 2 a game. Some teams are really good at the disguise of it all and the timing of it all, and they get 2 or 3, maybe 4 of the game. But I think, to Sed's point, and I said this earlier in the year, there seems to be a lack of instinct sometimes with Callahan, and in particular, not to beat up Callahan because he's no longer the coach, but it seemed to be a lack of instinct sometimes in the play calling and when to call stuff sometimes. And I'm not saying it's carrying over because we're still at a young part of this tenure of it all, but there seems to be a lack of just like instincts. And they go, here's my play card, here's 3rd and 4, here's my 5 plays, I'm running one of these 5, as opposed to what situation they take. So like you said, well, we put these in this week. We invested a little bit of time in it because we got to work it. This is the new, but it didn't work. Okay, we'll try it again. It didn't work. My instinct saying it's going to work this time. Or does your instinct say, man, let's go back to something else? And I think that becomes the feel of what your team is and what the moment it predicts.
I think it goes a little bit to the offensive line. Like, I know that this has worked before in the past, and we just saw it work, so it has to work. It can't be me, as in the play caller or the play designer. Can't be me. It's the players.
Yeah.
And it's just got to execute.
Yeah.
If it's just executed, it's going to work.
And it's a little
Which
bit of
is
both.
every play, right? Like, if every play is executed perfectly, every play is going to work.
I can get on the board and draw a touchdown every time, but that means that guy in front of me has to sit still.
Yeah.
And that means he's going to run the exact defense that I expect him to run on that particular play. But that's never the case. And you're asking a 300-pound guy who runs a 4.9, 5 flat to get on the edge against a guy that's 200, half his size, that runs a 4.4.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of variables in there.
Some give and take.
There's got to be some give and take.
A lot of math. Yeah. All right, coming up next, I want to talk about the offensive line, but we'll also go to Clayton. This is Titans Talk, Lee Company. Titans Talk back here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play? Visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Got the Dr. Kevin Dyson, got the scholar Stoney Keeley. I'm the Professor Zach Lyons, and we only have about 29 minutes left of this show. So,
can't believe it.
Call in 615-737-1045. Let's go to Clayton. Clayton, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me all right?
We can hear you.
All right. I had a question, man. When was the last time the Titans had a quarterback competition? And then, because I just can't really recall, one, and I've lived here my whole life. But the play calling as well, man. It seemed like after the first 15 or so plays were scripted, it seemed like they really struggled. Not so much the guys today, but the guy calling the plays. It just seemed like it really kind of fell off in the real clutch moments. He didn't have a feel for the game, which obviously the other callers had touched on that. And then the last thing was the throw that was wide open. I may have been Van Jefferson down the center there, and the ball wasn't tipped. It just come out of his hand weird. And again, it goes back to what y'all were talking about, the glove thing. Does he need gloves? I mean, it kind of seems like he's kind of got a issue handling and throwing the ball sometimes. But I'll hang up and listen. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
That's so funny. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The quarterback competition, I mean, do you guys consider what was going on with Ryan Tannehill and Marcus? Because a lot of people nationally said it was a quarterback competition.
That's a fair point. I remember a lot of the national people
and the local
that.
And a lot of the fans and the local people at the time were like, "Oh, it can't be a quarterback competition. It's Marcus," and blah 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 blah. But I don't know. I kind of heard that it was kind of an open competition, but maybe not in the sense kind of like this. There was quarterback competition with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph last year, but we always knew Will Levis was probably going to get the edge.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing this year. There was a quarterback competition, quote unquote, between Will Levis and Cam Moore, but we always knew Cam Moore was going to be the quarterback, right? Like, I think that one, outside of that, I don't really know. That would be the last one I could think of.
That's the only one I could think of that petition, but I didn't necessarily think it was. I thought it was his until it wasn't his kind of. That's why they brought Tannehill in. I don't know if there was a true competition.
I feel like there was a weird spell of quarterback play for this organization in the early 2010s. Like I don't feel it confidently enough to proclaim it, but like, do we remember like a Zach Mettenberger versus Charlie Whitehurst competition?
Oh my God.
Something like that, or like Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Jake Locker or something like that back in the day.
I think that one could Kerry Collins of Vince Young, right? When you say that was kind of that was kind of almost an in-season quarterback competition, but
that one did come to mind as well.
But not like a true, hey, we just drafted this guy, but we've got the established
not like Russell
veteran.
Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily that you have to have that, but to answer his question, I will say this. Upon the replay and watching it live, on the missed throw to Van Jefferson, I think that isn't really the ball slipping out of his hands because he's got small hands. I think that's ball slipping out of the hands because he had sloppy footwork on that play. I think he had an opportunity to set his feet, be patient with the ball, and make a more decisive throw than what he did, but he just threw it off platform, which he's known to do, and make those plays. I think this one just got the better of him.
There's been a couple of times this season that I felt like there's been an opportunity for him to kind of slow the process down, reset, and maybe get a little more on the ball, drive it a little more, and I think that was a good example of that. I'm curious, like, how easy is something like that to correct?
I don't know. And
in season, probably not.
Probably not. That's going to be through film development in the off season, and they're going to make a compilation of plays of good, bad, and some the indifferent. I think one thing from a ball security standpoint, there might be some conversation on how you're holding the ball, on your release, how you're coming back maybe too far and he's come slipping out of your hand. I think that's going to be a conversation because he's done that 3-4 times. Where
there's been several times. Yeah.
So the thing with the glove, Roethlisberger wore it, and he said it was a grip thing. We've seen Tom Brady at different points of his career. He wore it, And now he wore it on the opposite hand, but it was the tact of and maybe just a comfort thing too. But we've seen quarterbacks do it.
And this hasn't really been, to Ramon's point, this wasn't really something that ever came up during the draft process, right? The ball slipping out of his hands. Now, he had a fumbling issue, but that wasn't because the ball was just flying out of his hand. Mm-hmm. And for what it's worth, small hands in quotation marks, because like I said, there's a couple of different quarterbacks out there that are good, don't have this issue, that also hover around that same hand size. Now, there are ones that are smaller as well, but his hand size, again, is not like 10 inches. It's a little bit over 9 inches, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that have that and don't have this issue. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost a concentration mechanics issue than it is physical limitations of being able to hold on to a ball.
Yeah. I still might be kind of worried about Cleveland in December, though.
Uh-oh, why is that?
It's cold up there, gripping the ball.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
And I think that was part of Roethlisberger's thing, right? It was just the weather. Then it became a comfort thing for him as well.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, I look at it this way. It's hard to fix anything in the middle of the season. I know you just said that. I've had Blaine tell us that too. Like, it's really hard to do that in the middle of the season because you got so much you're working on.
Come on.
And so I do think these mechanic stuff and this stuff that we're seeing, he knows what he has to fix. Just because he knows that doesn't mean it instantly is fixed.
Yeah.
And so I think when you put in the offseason work with whatever quarterback coach he chooses to go with or whatever regimen or wherever he chooses to train and how he trains, as long as he's working on that stuff, you should feel good that these mechanic issues that we see pop up less.
Yeah.
They'll pop up because we see sloppy footwork from Patrick Mahomes still pop up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think someone likened it, I don't know, I think it was Mike McCoy maybe did. It could have been Bo Hardigree or Nick Holtz, but they likened it to a golf swing. It's like you're still maybe going to chip once in a while, or not chip, slice once in a while.
Or
but you're constantly, the best constantly tweak their swing motion, and he'll be constantly tweaking his throughout his whole process.
Yeah. I love that analogy too, because, if you try to switch it, middle of the game is going to make it a whole lot worse anyway. You're just going to continue to have those shakes, if you will. You're using the golf analogy. You're going to continue to have the mishaps and the misfires and things like that. Because remember, I'll go back to like Tim Tebow. There was that whole thing with his throwing motion. It was too long, too windy, and things of that nature. Then he had that phenomenal season, and the whole time he was changing his motion. But like in golf, at some point, that old swing rears its ugly head.
Yeah.
And that old motion in the heat of a game, right? It's just something familiar to you. It's like muscle memory. For me, it's the how it comes off the hand and spins. I think there was might have been the Packer game, and a lot of drops from the receivers, and rightfully so. They need to catch those balls. But if you saw how the ball was kind of scooting away from them because it was nose down trajectory, not that arc. It was kind of nose down. When it gets to you, it fades away from you. So you think you got a beat on it, and then all of a sudden it's almost like we skip rocks on water.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that kind of like feel from you. So it's getting away. So it's kind of spinning away from you. And that's a hard catch.
Right.
I'm not excusing the drops, but I'm saying that's a hard ball to catch. And when it comes out, different spin angles and rates. And that's what I was seeing. And now you're seeing the different release points and angles. And you said Mahomes has done it and he gets away with it. But the interesting thing about Mahomes and why he gets away with it, you win. When you win, all those little quirks and mishaps and stuff like that, he did it yesterday. He threw a no-look pass yesterday. Or last week, or what it was, excuse me, not yesterday, last week, and he threw not yesterday, he's playing right now, but he threw a no-look pass last week. But you can do that when you have the resume he has. And
when you're comfortable in the offense.
Yes.
And the offense is tailored to your skill set, which is something that Andy Reid always does.
Yes.
And these players draw up some plays and then give them to Andy Reid and then and all that kind of stuff. Like when you have that kind of freedom to be yourself, like I don't know if we were talking about that on air or
I think off air.
Off air. But when you have the freedom to be yourself and be comfortable in the scheme that you are in, you play better.
Yeah.
You have that innate feel for the game. And right now, Cam Ward is still trying to figure out who he is in the pros, what he can be in the pros, in a system that's fine, but it's not really a system tailored around, I think, the players. I think the players are supposed to be tailored around the system.
Yeah.
And it's a system that he don't even know if he's going to be playing.
I was just about to say that. He don't even know if he's going to be there next year.
Yeah.
Which he's used to, right? I mean, like, he went from all these different offensive schemes all throughout his college, different coaches, different play callers. So he's used to it. You don't want to make a habit of it.
Right.
But hopefully, again, the next head coach is the guy that installs a system that is Cam Ward friendly.
Yeah.
Not quarterback friendly, Cam Ward friendly.
And I said this years ago with Mariota. And I was in my whole thing with Mariota, and I thought he was very talented. I thought he did some things well here. The problem with his career was the very thing we're hoping doesn't happen with Cam.
Yes.
He went from different regimes to different quarterback coaches, different coordinator philosophies from the head coach, and almost every year of his first 4 or 5 years in the league. It's hard for anybody to be consistent and good when you got different philosophies. One is telling you to throw the ball outside the numbers. One is saying throw the one right in the middle of you. One is saying we're going to be a quick game. We're going to do the West Coast offense, get the ball out. One wants to go vertical. And you're going through that. Yeah, you're learning, you're progressing, but you're also in between swings, if you will, all the time. And that's where Mariota, I hope that doesn't happen with Cam. Hope they find something philosophical, stability, coaching that, and even from a management standpoint, administration, that's consistent, that they can build around with him for the longevity like a Mahomes has had.
Yeah, and I think that is testament to Zach's point from earlier. I think that's what makes this head coaching hire so critical, is because you're kind of establishing the timeline. You're getting the coach and Cam on the same wavelength moving forward. You just hope that they can win enough games to be rewarded with patience and time to build.
Well, and that's the thing, and this is part of a larger discussion, but whoever you hire as coach, 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, you have 3 years to show us something. You have 3 years to prove us something, because then you're on the same timeline as Cam. If Cam gets his fifth-year option picked up, that means the head coach did his job. So you're still on the same path with Cam. This head coach and this quarterback are tied together. And for me, that's what you got to look at, is that these two guys are connected in such a way that if you get this wrong, you ruin your quarterback. And we have seen, Kevin O'Connell has said it, you have said it, Kevin Dyson, we have echoed it, is that more often than not, teams fail young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So you have to get this right.
Yeah.
You have to get it right.
Yep.
Huh? That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Nothing hard, right? Like it's just so simple to find a good head coach and gets the most out of your quarterback. You can't get a stopgap head coach, I think is the way Johnny Boy put it.
Yeah, and I think that's what the frustration with the fans and with the organization here recently has been, since maybe even Mariota. That has not been the case. We have not had that consistent quarterback relationship, rapport, coordinator, GM, all those things has not. And, you hope this is that moment for that, because then if it is, that means in the next couple of years, we are going to see that, we're relevant. We're maybe pushing for a Super Bowl or what have you. But if it's this up and down regime and coaches and coordinators, you're still going to see the same thing. Regardless how good Cam is, it's going to be the same stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
it's the biggest fear. I mean, we could say and sit here and bemoan the performances on the field this year. We can sit here and bemoan that they're 1-7, going to be 1-17, whatever happened. We complain. This year's result-oriented is all about just coming out on the other side. Like you getting over and seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully that end of the tunnel is a head coach who can take that light at the end of the tunnel and brighten up the whole world.
Yeah,
that sounds nice.
You like it, right?
I like that. But I say this though, and this is for the organization, the decision makers. They want to win too.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, it is business, and they got a business to run. It's a multi-million-dollar business. I get that. It might be. What's the valuation now? They're at $1 billion.
Yeah, I think they're in the billions.
Billions now. And so they got a business to run, and at the end of the day, that what matters. Let's be real, right? But at the same time, they're all competitive. You don't get to the spot where you're at within a professional sports and not be competitive and want to win. So they want to do this right. They want to get it right. And sometimes you pick right, if you will, and it just has that synergy. And you ride that wave. And what happens when you ride that wave? People start plucking you, start pulling you from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There you go. You start plucking people from the Eagles. There you go. The 49ers, everybody tried to duplicate what the Niners did in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, they plucked from the Titans, right? Matt LaFleur and Art Smith.
Come on. And you tried to touch the cloak of greatness and try to duplicate it. Like people started pulling from McVay in the Rams.
Yep.
And because he's had that success. And now everybody's trying to copy that, get that young, never play caller, young guy, and make him into this magical head coach that can win a championship in a couple years. It just hasn't happened like that for everybody like it did for the Rams.
All right, coming up next will be our Eurofix look ahead. This is Titans Talk Back, Lee Company Titans Talk Back right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. And hey, guess what? Now we look ahead to the bye week for the Eurofix look ahead. The look ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit eurofixonline.com. Next week, the Titans have done us a favor by going on their bye week. We will not be here next week. That's our look ahead presented by Eurofix. You know what I'm looking ahead for? Some Chinese food on my way home tonight.
Oh.
And going fishing next weekend. That's what I'm looking ahead.
There you go. Yeah, I got a date with the Smoky Mountains in my future. I'm going to prop my feet up during this bye week.
I'll be in the Rockies. So going out west, doing a little business out west. So
there you go. See,
there you go.
Look at that. What are you doing during the bye week, Jackson?
Nothing.
All right, there you go. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, they can't lose. They can't lose next weekend. So, what about the trade deadline? Do we want to look ahead?
Well, let's do that. Let's look ahead to the trade deadline. That's a great idea because Calvin Ridley. I mean, where are you guys on trading Calvin Ridley? I'm kind of, I'd be okay with it. I mean, you're not going to get a lot, but I'd be okay with it because these young guys just give them the reps at this point.
Get the reps, and there's more young guys to give reps to. Whenever Bryce Oliver gets healthy, whatever's going on there, I'm all for acquire draft capital. I mean, if this thing is about building towards the future, that's how you do it. Draft, develop, retain. If you're going to draft, you got to have picks. So, I mean, at this point, it feels like the season is lost. This doesn't look like a playoff team. So, let's stock up.
Yeah. I go both ways with it. I think it's hard when you got good players. You say get rid of them, you know what I mean. It's hard to say get rid of them. And also his number, his cap number, he just got it. It's pretty expensive. However, I think I said early on, I can see it, especially with these young guys. I'm with you on that. The way these young guys are developing and playing and progressing, their experience is invaluable, and I've always said there's nothing that replaces the experience in the National Football League. And so if he's back, he's in the starting role. Somebody's not getting as much experience as another, because he's a captain. He's got steel on chest. He's going to play. So, I don't know how much you get out of him if he's hurt, and how much you get out of him with his cap number,
quote unquote. That's a big one. Hurt. I always you never know.
Got his
you never know.
Hat on.
You never know. Yeah. I think that you're going to have to eat some of his remaining base salary this year to get a better pick, but it may be worth it in the long run. Tony Pollard's the one I go back and forth on because we see Tony Pollard perform today, and a run game, while not been used consistently, has consistently worked for this team when it's actually used. And I understand Tony Pollard's not going to be on the team next year, so get what you can, but are we really going to rely on a 20-carry game from Tajay Spears? We don't know anything about Khalil Mullins at this point.
No.
They expect him back after the bye week, but we don't know what he is at the NFL level. And then you got Julius Chestnut, who we do know who he is at the NFL level. So, you're hurting Cam. I feel like taking away Tony Pollard hurts Cam more than taking away Calvin Ridley, which sounds like an insane thing to say.
It does, but
I think it's true.
I think it's true too.
And I'm like, it's a running back. What are you going to get, 6th-round pick for him? And sure, your 7th may turn into a 6th-round pick, and you get to move up 50 spots and blah blah blah, and every excuse that people will use to explain it away. But I think you need Tony Pollard this year because you don't have a running back without Tony Pollard for the long term. I don't know what Tajay Spears can be if he stays healthy.
Exactly. I don't think he's that one you rely on. If you get rid of Tony Pollard, you're either looking at free agency, and I don't know who's up next year for a free agency, or you're looking to draft one in the first 2 or 3 rounds. But I think he's on a different plane than Calvin Ridley at this point because of that very thing. But also, he is getting older. His cap number goes up too. So, and if there's some backs that you feel like you can get in the 2nd, 3rd round that can complement Tajay.
Oh, they're definitely drafting a running back for sure.
Yeah.
You think if Pollard's here, 3, 4, 5th round, he's not here, 2, 3, 4?
I would not be surprised if they spend a day 2 pick on a running back next spring, regardless of whether he's here or not. I feel like there's an opportunity based on how they use these guys. It feels like they don't think they have a guy that can just be the thoroughbred.
But that's the brand in the NFL now. Everybody's kind of doing that. Even the Chiefs have done it. A lot of teams are not. Even the Baltimore Ravens do that to a certain degree. Everybody, and King's still up there. He only had 19 carries today. And that was kind of what he did here, too. I think he was like, that 10, 12, and every now and then he did the 20-something. But he was, everybody's kind of doing that with the running backs now. They're not letting guys, for the most part, there's not guys toting the ball 25, 30 times a game anymore. Like the old with Eddie and Jerome Bettis and Corey Dillon and all them when they were getting 25 carries a game. You're not seeing that as much anymore.
Yeah. Okay, which edge rusher? Because obviously Draymond Jones, Jihad Ward are garnering some interest. I feel like I would keep both of those. Arden Key seems like the most logical choice. We don't know what his quote-unquote injury is, but Arden Key seems like the logical choice to move if you're the Tennessee Titans, and at least trying to build off at least today's momentum.
And cap space.
I'll keep it simple. Hard agree.
There you go.
I'm with you.
Bo Hard agree. Trade him.
No, hard agree.
Oh, gotcha.
Hard. I know. I said it kind
of. Real quick, I'll ask you, Kevin Dyson. Tavondre Sweat, if he gets traded, your reaction will be?
Why?
I mean, right? I understand, again, that maybe he's a little difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But you're the general manager. You're not having to deal with him.
Right.
The next staff should have the decision on Tavondre Sweat. Like the next staff should have the decision on Jarvis Brownlee Jr. But he's already gone. So, to me, Tavondre Sweat needs to be here.
I mean, he compliments Big Jeff so well. Yeah. And I think Big Jeff has extended his career with a guy like Sweat next to him. And his abilities are more evident when Sweat's there too, because he was close to being Defense Player of the Year conversation the way he was playing for the injury, and you get a guy like Sweat who can command some double team blocks. You can sit there 1-on-1. I mean, and I always, and I know Blaine will say this too, man. You got to get what you can get out of the value of players, but at the same time, you can't get rid of your best players all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you get those two, Sweat and Simmons together. You add a couple edge rushers. You do a little tweak in there. That's a good defensive front all of a sudden.
Now you got a core, a base on that defense
and keep Sebastian Joseph Day. Extend Sebastian Joseph Day.
I'm with you. He's played well.
Let's keep at least some good players, even if they're older, like Sebastian Joseph Day, but keep the young ones too, because at some point you have to have good young players, and you've got one in Tavondre Sweat, even if he's. Listen, he's coming off an injury. He's a bigger guy. That's really tough for him to do.
And I love Gray. And I think that kid he can end up being a Pro Bowler at some point.
Maybe this year. 16 combined tackles today.
Dang.
There you go. The University of Memphis and Nashville SC are the only two teams, and the Nashville Predators, the only three Tennessee teams to win this weekend. Just want to throw it out there.
Oh, Memphis? They won?
No, Memphis won. They blew out Rice.
That's right.
All right. That will do it for us. We got Kevin. We got the Dr. Kevin Dyson. We got the scholars, Stoney Keeley. I'm the Professor, Zach Lyons. And we got Highlight Master, Jackson Behind the Glass. Thank you for producing the show. Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, executive producer Rhett Bryan. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone.